This is the East Pointers. They're community-focused and they're great TD customers. We just surprised them with something big. This is TD Thanks You. See the whole story of how we thank the East Pointers for spreading positivity in their community.